And there we should be. Let's just see if everything's alright. Yep, looks alright at least. So yeah, the new-ish French battleship Strasbourg. I haven't played any matches in it just yet, as I've got did manage to get it yesterday, or was it? I actually got it Thursday. I've been quite busy recently, so I haven't had the chance to really play it yet. So why not do it on a live stream, right? I haven't gotten much into the Lost Star yet either. So without further ado, let's just get into it, I think. Oop, hold on. There we go. Other way around, probably. There we go. Taking his own Strasburg out. And of course we are stock, so we don't have any kind of armor piercing, which will be a bit of a problem. Actually be worse. You know what? Why not? How bad could it possibly be? I say now, as I can already see myself getting detonated through the nose by 16-inch guns. Okay, big open map. Not the best, not the worst. However, that's a good sign. That means full down tier. Yeah, that means full down tier. Okay, so no 7.0s, no Scharnhorsts. This should be good. Do we have any big gun threats? Let's see what kind of battleships are out there, if any. None at the moment. Ikoma could be dangerous. Actually, that's a Kurama. We would probably want to focus on that. I don't see any other battleships, luckily. So we should focus down the thing that can kill us. To angle a bit more. Slow down a bit so I don't collide with the other Strasbourg. And just try and do as much damage as I can with the high explosive. What map is this? This is just, you know, Midway. Big open ocean map with 2 islands in the middle. So why not? Lots of fire effects on his Kurama, but I doubt he's actually flooding, or on fire rather. I'm not seeing anything on the status symbols. The front hull second is a bit damaged, let's see if we can start a flooding in there. My squad mate is actually dealing with it. So I might just swap my fire to something I can actually meaningfully damage with these guns. By explosive. Enemy Strasburg spotted. Showing full broadside, but again I don't have any kind of armor piercing, so I can't do anything. Yeah, that Kurama is gonna go down. And the Summers got sunk before my shells even landed. And there's a few hippers which are very armored. An AI, a Russian destroyer. It's also an AI cruiser. That's a bow in Strasbourg. Really wish I had some kind of armor piercing right now. Because a bow in Strasbourg is a dead one. Going alrighty, it's my first game of the night. I have not played Strasbourg yet, haven't played Dunkirk because I don't have it yet, so it's my first real try of this type of battleship. Just a fair warning before we get too deep into this stream. I am already fairly tired from what I've had to do today, so don't expect my English to be too good, or as good as it usually is. Might be fumbling a lot more words than I usually do. That Strasbourg should be dead. It's bowing. Which is absolutely not what you want to do in these type of battleships, is go purely bowing. But oh well. I don't have AP, so I can't punish him. Gonna try and get in behind my squad mate. That's a dead Leipzig. I think I'll take the Des Moines as my next target. Yeah, that is one of the things I will say as well, like knowing that the next update will change a lot of stuff, increase rewards for AI kills. It's been really difficult getting myself to just keep grinding some of my trees. Keep trying to spade vehicles even though I know that the rewards will be different next update. Especially when it comes to coastals. I've just not continued my frigate baiting just because I know it'll change next update. Well, there's still one more star to do in this naval event, so might as well get it. Keep hitting the side of the ship. I want to try and hit the turrets.
Just keep it up, and victory will be ours.
I do love the look of this class of battleship. All forward quad turrets. Can't go wrong with that. There we go, that's a bit more of a turret hit, I think. keep an eye out for any other light targets I might be able to just hit. Yeah, that's up. My day's been going alright. Had a bit of a busy day today. But otherwise fine. That as well. Getting a proper AP shell should be pretty nice. Let's salvo. Is either aimed at me. That's gonna be aimed at me, isn't it? The one is going faster. So is it that guy shooting me? No. Is it the Helena shooting over in this direction? Yeah, I think the Strasburg actually looks better than the Dunkirk because of the superstructure. Yeah, this is Helena shooting at stuff. Let's see if I can pepper him a little bit. What is the range? Ooh, there we go, we've got a range. A bit further. I'm actually going to angle a little bit more. Because I do not want to give my broadside to something like an enemy Dunkirk. The French cruisers didn't seem that bad. I saw Kasich has made a video comparing all of the penetration changes for AP shells on the guns. Next update. And sure, long range pen suffers, but 10 kilometers is a bit of a... Well, I say that as I'm shooting at this Helena, but it's not that common of a range. And the thing that I haven't seen in that comparison video is that, to my knowledge, the shell arcs are also changing. So impact angle should change at long range, which may or may not affect how effective a shell is as well. And I don't know if that affects like DAC penetrations more, like if that's actually going to be a thing now or not. Angled enough, I guess. But yeah, I already know that I'll have my work cut out for me with the update summary next update. That reminds me, I need to get some footage done this weekend already. Because I suspect that that shell arcs are going to be a lot different. So I need to get some clips in to see what kind of differences we're working with. But I don't know what kind of guns I want to compare. Because I just don't have the... how do I say this? I'm just not going to get through all of the guns and seeing how they compare at range. That'll be a bit crazy. What range is this Helena at? There we go. Somebody with HETF is shooting at me. For some reason. Yeah, it makes me, it makes my work a little bit difficult that so much stuff is changing with one update, because I genuinely have no clue how anything is going to how everything's going to evolve. So my plans for reviewing stuff can be, yeah, thrown out a bit. I don't have any AP on them. It's useless to use my secondary guns. If my main guns cannot do any damage, my secondaries won't do any damage either. But luckily that is AP unlocked on the first one. And you probably should get some sub shells for the secondaries. Maybe. It's also, I don't know. It might be just me, but I never tend to use these kind of secondaries on battleships. Like, if my secondary battery also doubles as my long-range anti-air, especially on a ship with very poor anti-air, I tend to not manually use secondaries. This might be because I am a Japanese main at heart, and their battleships, or their ships in general, you do not want to use their secondaries as, you know, well, for their cruisers, you don't want to use their secondaries as anti-ship weapons. You need to use them as anti-air weapons. Yeah, it's just a personal choice, really, why I don't use the secondaries. I think I'll actually swap to FPE. That's my next upgrade. And let's not forget to actually take the sap. Exactly. But yeah, no, it's just a personal thing. Like, for the American dreadnoughts, even on them, I'm quite reluctant to use their dual-purpose 5-inch 38s against surface targets, even though it's just VT. So it can be used against both. But even then, I'm reluctant to use it. I just don't really see the point. Another... This might sound like a bit of just a lame excuse, but one of the reasons I don't really like using like very low caliber secondaries with fairly poor shells against battleships is that it just draws attention to your ship with shells that aren't doing any meaningful damage, in my opinion. Yeah, that is a good point, Halo. For if you're an AB player, manually using the secondary won't matter because you just have to aim right at the plane and lead them. That'll be quite interesting. It also makes like main caliber HETF from cruisers or battleships a lot more potent in AB, kind of. But oh well. Yeah, that new wing system is really weird because it's going to be really powerful against aircraft, kind of. But I don't think it'll be all that nice to use against ships. Because you can't really manually correct anymore. Like, if you see an enemy turning, you can, you know, correct for it. But that aiming system won't, because it's just aiming directly at the lead indicator. Which you shouldn't do on a turning ship, but oh well. No. The thing is, it's... There's always a rationale behind it, right? The thing about the arcade aiming system is that it's... You have to remember that ships are faster in arcade than realistic. So the amount of lead you have to give to ships in arcade, like, taking into account your own ship speed and their speed, you often have situations where you're aiming with the target off the screen in arcade. At least I found that to be the case. And a lot more often than in realistic. But yeah, I don't get the aimbot thing either. Because it just makes it, you know, that easy. We'll see. Also, the other thing as well is, Of course, it can't be a new system for Naval without it breaking an old one. On the dev server, you can't override the arcade aiming system with realistic. So, where is it? This option allows you to use the realistic aiming system in arcade, which I do because I'm just more familiar with it. Yeah, no longer works with the new system. It just you're stuck with the arcade aiming system, whether you like it or not. At least that was the case on the dev server, and I'm pretty certain that's probably going to be the case on the live server as well. Torpedoes still aren't fixed, like launching torpedoes. Like ever since they introduced the where is it? It's also one of the new naval options. This one. Ever since they introduced this control, like launching torpedoes has been bugged. I'm not that okay, Nord, that's fine. I'm not all that that worried about being negative towards naval changes. If any of you heard or saw what I said about those hull break changes the first time we saw them on the dev stream, oh boy, you definitely don't know. You definitely know I don't really care about complaining about bad changes. It does crack me up though. Every now and then, although I usually do remove them, I get comments saying that I'm a shill for Gaijin, which is really funny since one, I'm not even in this CC program yet. And two, it's like, I do say negative stuff quite openly. It's just that I can adapt to certain things. Like that new loss of floatability mechanic, they have tweaked it quite a lot on the second opening of the dev server. Does he really? Whack. Let me just answer that real quick. Yeah, he still is. Every now and then he'll pop into this stream as well. There we go. And I think when it's reached 7 minutes, Nord will leave us. I'm not sure, Gregorio, if I read it correctly. The long range, like, okay, 10 kilometer is the one people have been using as a benchmark for the AP at long range. 10 kilometers is yeah, that's long range for standard maps. That is on the shorter side for EC. But for battleships, that is also on the longer side of things. And, nope, we found a match. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that AP nerf at long range will do to those ships, because it's also a ballistic arc change. So do the shells like impact at a higher angle? Are they going for deck pans instead of belt pans? I don't know. Yeah, they're not that bad. I think at like generally speaking, at around 10 kilometers, it's like a 50mm pen nerf across the board, something like that. Some less, some more. Let's just think about my ammo load for a second. Nope. Let's not take just one salvo, that seems a bit bad. So I really don't know how these AP nerfs will be, because there's that new floatability mechanic that changes, shell arcs are changing, HE shells will be changing alongside it. It's a lot of stuff that you really do not know how that will act until you see it. Yeah, I saw the Crunch getting quite a big nerf as buff as well. That's a bit strange, but oh well. The Crunch shot is not as relevant as it used to be, so I'm not really that opposed to it getting a buff. Exactly, we just have to wait and see. And no matter what, I will still be playing Naval, that's for sure. That's what shooting is, eh? Let's see if I can slip into this gap right here. That cell is a bit too far forward and a bit too short as well. I still need to finish my Italian ships. I'm missing the coolest battleships in their line. Alrighty, I'll see you around. And I'll be sure to have a good stream. After I can squeeze this big old ship down this gap. Come on. Ooh, that's a juicy target, Des Moines. Yeah, that barge must be quite sturdy, both of them. Is Des Moines just stationary? Please tell me it's just stationary. So his frontal magazine is like 0.7 in front of center line. So let's get ourselves a good bearing. And fire. I don't know, I don't think you can actually sell it on the marketplace yet. I haven't checked. But it's probably not going to be too expensive. The naval beamers don't tend to be that expensive on the first day. First days. Good salvo, but far enough forward. Yeah, I don't think it's an unpopular opinion. The HE buff seems decent. Doesn't seem overpowered. They reduced the HE kinetic pen compared to, or it's something along, you know, they changed how HE was on the second dev compared to the first dev. But it's alright. It'll give the Japanese destroyers a bit more of a fair shot at actually playing the game, which is always nice. Again, 6-7 down tier. Perfect. And he became stationary again while the time was shot, so that salvo will just miss. Okay, I just need to get this range again. Let's see what that one does. These are looking decent. And pop goes to Des Moines.
The enemy's getting closer to victory.
I know that guy. I never look at this. It's just there, but I genuinely don't look at it. I always just look where my shots themselves are landing. Rather than anything else. Okay, there goes some of my barrels. Interestingly enough. Let's get this patched up.
Somebody attack him!
fire is just cosmetic, luckily. Oh yeah, I do keep forgetting that Strasbourg actually has radar compared to Dunkirk. Okay, what is just shooting over the island to hit me? Is it the American? Is it the Cleveland class picking a fight? Gun barrels are repaired, so let's cancel the further repairs because we'll just nerf my reload. And I only need my barrels fixed anyways. Crawl to a halt now. Absolutely nuke the front section of that Cleveland. The one thing I do sometimes use this for is if I'm locked onto something but I don't know quite where they are, and then I just look where the red dot is. But in general I don't really use the data on the top left. It can be useful for when you're shooting at somebody behind cover, just to know what kind of angle they're doing. It's basically just useful when you can't see the entirety of their ship, or just even their ship partially. That Cleveland is now in cover. That cruiser, however, isn't, and neither is that Italian one. Yeah, like for example, let's say I'm locked into something like that. Okay, now I see it, but let's say I'm locked onto something. I see I'm locked onto something, but I don't know where it is. Look at the red dot. I try and cut to the red dot. Of course, I just lost the track there, but then yeah, just find it by that. But that's practically the only reason I ever use that thing. I so want to shoot an Italian because a bow-on cruiser to a battleship is a very juicy target. Do just that. With my shells going all next to him because I just very bad lead. Did get close to Zamorak though. So I actually aim a better shell. I should get it. That's my 20 kilometer. Didn't it? And killed. That Russian cruiser is going to sink. Where does the Cleveland go? Okay, the Cleveland ducked in behind there. Not going around, but I'm not scared if he has. Or if he is going around. I'm not going to steal that kill because I just shouldn't. There we go. And I don't really care what a Kutuzov is going to do against me. I am still a battleship. And light cruiser gunfire is not going to do too much. There is an aircraft on radar. Just a quick second there. There's something over in that direction. There's a Cleveland. He's just sitting behind there, okay. Not a threat then. Okay, there is an aircraft up. Where is it? For some reason that air alert thing doesn't work in Naval. It's of course it's Alan. Ooh, a Poltava? Russian dreadnought? Oh, he's low. Hello. Well, let's just have the AI gunners work over here. Let's see where the Russian dreadnought went. There he is. Interesting. Some more hits on the AI fire. I think it's actually best for me to move up so that the Dreadnought over there doesn't have shots on me. Not that much, in my opinion. I don't think naval wars like this actually self-roll that much. Oh, you sneaky bugger trying to torpedo me. Come on. Do it. And there you go. It was an attempt. Yeah, I usually I don't really follow it too much. But event ships usually go for like 20 or 30 Gaijin coin for the first few days. Okay, selling it at 31 is not bad. Sure, it's not as much as you could potentially get it a bit in the long run. It's not terrible. Okay, my super firing turret. One of my turrets just said nope. That's that battleship shooting over the hills. Don't want to deal with that. That guy is getting ready for a torpedo attack, I think. So I'm readying the secondary guns just in case. Now let's just let the AI do it. Okay. Again, one of my turrets does not have the gun depression for this. I think it's actually my bottom one. Okay, we're angled, we can deflect those. We do need to be careful of the Russian dreadnought that's trying to snipe. So keep angle. And hit a sunk container ship, as my siren has been warning me about. I've just been ignoring. Of course, without any speed upgrades, moving this ship takes a bit. But I really need to get closer and closer to wherever the Russian dreadnought is hiding. Then either he has to push up to meet me, or not do anything in return. So, yeah. Some of the shells made it over the island, at least. No scary battleships out there, so we'll just keep pushing. And keep ourselves angled towards the 12-inch dreadnought. Cleveland is slowly pushing up, but it's a Cleveland, so it doesn't form any torpedo threat. So we can just push it without any real repercussions. Yeah, that's my radar, that's fine. Let's just see what we can do to this Cleveland with a single shot. And the Cleveland is already rapidly sinking. No longer a threat. And I do believe I managed to get myself out of the gunfire of that Russian dreadnought, which I think is a Poltava. And that's it. Moffat, reporter. Harden's alright. The thing is, it's a... Okay, I should actually not say that's alright, because when I played them, they're alright. The Congos are okay cruisers. They have been power crept though, seeing as they're still 7.0 and 14-inch battle cruisers with 8 inches of bout armor at the most. I'm bowing towards the Poltava. I need to turn quickly. Come on, angle. There we go. That should be better. Might still get us killed, but it should be better. Okay, that's not good. Front magazine is very dangerous. The thing is, I almost ammo wrecked as well, I think, so let's just keep damaging that part. Yeah. Let's see who detonates who first, but I think I need to angle more.
Somebody attack him.
I can't show broadside either. I can't go bow in, I can't show broadside. I need to angle. Yeah, the coastal hull changes are definitely a big oof. Definitely not something that needed to happen, but I will have to live with it, I think. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I do not mind that getting taken from me, quote unquote. Because that was a very dangerous situation for the Strasbourg to be in. Well, that's the thing. Fires are not necessarily like fire damage on ships. And I explained this in, was it this update or last update? Anyways, one of the last 2 updates made it so that fires can be cosmetic as well, just indicating that heavy damage has been dealt. So like the loss of your bridge or the loss of some anti-air batteries can look like fires, even though you're not on fire. Okay, no? No, I need to be careful. Like recently I played a Kirov, and I couldn't detonate a Strasburg, so... Okay, that's fire in the magazine, yeah. That's what that siren suddenly changing was. I should have been a bit more careful. I've got 20 backups, why not use them?
Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
Oh, does Strasbourg also have more frontal bulkhead armor? Okay, fire damage is a bit weird in Naval. Because it's not... Okay, first and foremost, it is not like World of Warships. High explosive is not what sets fires. It has a greater chance of setting fires, but it doesn't mean that armor piercing can't set fires. To my knowledge, and I haven't really confirmed it, but to my knowledge, if a module gets taken out, any type of module, it can be set on fire. This can be a turret, this can be an anti-air mount, your bridge, your barbettes, your crew compartments, I think as well. All of them can be set on fire. And this fire has the possibility to spread towards surrounding modules. Noticeably is that a fire in the turret can spread down the ammo elevator and into the magazines. Just find the salvo and then look where the hell I'm going. I need to turn right. Okay, all the shells just sit down in front of the Aoba, but that's fine. So yeah, one of the reasons that you want to put out fires first is that they can be set on anything and they can spread. They can spread into crew compartments, they can spread into modules, they can spread into anything and everything and damage them over time. Quite quickly, even. And now I'm just gonna run myself aground here, am I? Yeah, absolutely wedged myself. All because they had to place this bridge here for no apparent reason. I'm just gonna be... I can't turn out of this easily either. Yes and no. I'm not entirely sure on that. I do know that like knocking out secondary batteries with high explosive shells seems to be a bit more reliable in setting fires. But it doesn't mean that AP can't set fires in even secondaries. I'm gonna go for the other gap now. It's a bit less difficult to squeeze through, I think. I'm not a fan of these three people just sitting outside of the camp. That is yike. Yes, the Strasburg and Dunkirk are indeed getting AP to replace their sap. Yeah, Oba, I know you're there. You're not going to do much, but you're there. It's a big buff. They're actually getting a penetration buff together with it. With the AP shell of... yeah, it's getting renamed. Well, yeah, it's just changing to an AP shell. With a big penetration buff, I think. Like quite a big one. Does it depend on this? I think it's like 100 more pen? Not sure. To be honest, I don't really think it matters much. It does mean that you can have a bit more potential against actually armored battleships in an up tier. But the sap on this ship was never really bad. At least not that I think. Exactly. Well, you say that, but it can. Not for battleships usually, but it can hurt ships. I think the best example of a ship where extra pen can and will hurt is the British Glorious class large light cruiser. The 6.0 ship, I think, with 15-inch guns. Yeah, that thing has a bit too much penetration on its shells to actually really do damage against cruisers. They just go in one side, out the other. Let alone if you ever fire that thing at destroyers. Yeah, although I'm kind of curious how potent the 15-inch high explosive will be post-patch when they get kinetic penetration. Oop, I didn't catch that message before we got into queue. It was lightning quick. Oh, Frenchie. Well, after this match perhaps. God, African Gulf. What kind of match are we looking at? 8-11, so we might get... Are we looking at a down tier again? No, okay, that's good to know. Why do we have a Moffat on our team? At 7-0. Actually, no. African Gulf is a pretty good map for a destroyer spawn even at this kind of an up tier. I think so. Do the British 15-inch guns not have high explosive shells? Now you're making me question myself, because I don't know, actually. Let's see what we can do against these ships. So, speaking of a glorious, lots of battleships. The early dreadnoughts, those are probably... No, they aren't AI. Okay, one of them is. Somebody shooting me already. That thing should die first, which I think is the Cleveland. Let's just fire a salvo in that general direction. Now I am the vanguard of this fleet, so I am going to take most of the fire. But it doesn't matter, we have backups. And I am not afraid to use them. Well, no. You should... Well... You probably should insta-fix flooding, but at this stage, I'm not actually flooding. There are holes on my deck, sure, but I'm not actually flooding. So I don't particularly care. Of course, that can go bite me in the ass later if I do start flooding out. But it's not a necessity at the moment. Also, when I'm receiving heavy fire like this, I'm probably just gonna keep having to repair the flooding, because I keep getting holes punched into the into my deck, which will keep, you know, start repair cycles, which will debuff repair other repairs like fire. Now I'm starting to flood. Now I need to think about it. So I'm going to start it. I'm gonna stop my normal repair because I've got my turret back. Wait for the flooding to stop so I can fire, but I can't because this is what happens when you take repeated fire. Let's just shoot the guns. Also, a quick little tip I could give people. The way I angle, or I think you should angle Dunkirk and Strasbourg, consequently, is by making it so that this turret lines up with this little, what you call it? Well, yeah, that plate. So this is how I angle my Strasbourg, and I will angle my Dunkirk whenever I get it.
Our victory is here.
Is by lining up the turret to that plate on the deck.
Allied forces have captured.
It's roughly 45, I think. It's just a useful visual aid. I'm not entirely sure what the exact angle is for that, but it's just how I've decided to angle the ship. I could probably do a little bit more broadside. Not expose the bulkhead in the front. I think I should be fine. Oh, Scharnhorst. Interesting. Is that an AI Roanoke? It is. Okay, then I don't really care too much. That's actually gonna miss, isn't it? Yeah, it's gonna hit his rear compartment, not his turrets. AI. That guy is full broadside and I'm very tempted to punish him for it. Where's the middle of his ship? There's the middle of his ship. His magazine is 1 to 2 steps forward of the middle. Let's see if I can punish it. Lead indicator is there. Let's go to 1 to 2, around there-ish. And fire. I am taking some shots from dead ahead, which is a bit dangerous. Almost got to the magazine of that Strasbourg up ahead. I am in a very bad spot, but let's just rush towards the island and hope that the rocks will cover my frontal bulkhead. We are not going to repair until we are in cover, just to not bleed too much crew. Having seen it on the second dev server, it is a lot less bad than I thought originally. So it isn't as bad as it was conceptually originally. I still think 3 compartments is a bit too few. but we'll find out. We'll find out when the live server goes, you know, when the update goes live. Whether or not this will be a good or a bad thing. Let me just recenter this target. I want to aim at 2 dots ahead. And if these hit the rock, these hit the rock. That's fine. Some of them did, some of them didn't. And they landed short. Never mind. Let's repair to get my bridge back in action. And my turrets back in action. It's not that bad as it was in the first half for blue water ships. It's difficult to describe in words because it'll replace the permanent flooding. Like for example, in these two compartments, I can no longer repair flooding. But it's so difficult to trigger the new thing, or so laborious that it really doesn't matter. I think now in the state it was on the second dev, it's a decent replacement of the permanent flooding mechanic. Probably still not that needed in my opinion, but well, I can understand there being a need for other ways to sink ships with gunfire rather than just crew kills or detonations. Cough, cough, Scharnhorst. And the current permanent flooding thing does have some flaws, like with the Nelson. Okay, let's just get this cap, and we can move out. Don't have a good shot on the Roanoke at the moment. I really want to get some ability upgrades on this thing, because it handles like a bus. Three hits, two non-pens and one overpen. Alrighty. As all things should be, I guess. Damage to my fire controller, that's fine. I'm putting my gunners on AA duties because there's an aircraft up. Nelson doesn't have a Amarak explosion, does it? No problem. There's a flooding problem. And this ship, well, it's not really an Amarak problem. It's just a that's just how the armor is. That is just how this ship is. And do I think aircraft carriers will ever come? Probably at some point. Don't ask me when, but probably. Yeah, that is good angling on that Strasburg, and I cannot get to it. Yeah, like I've made a video on the topic of playable aircraft carriers years ago. It's a bit crude. It's not really up to my current standards of videos, although I still stand by everything I've said in it. So if you want to know my full opinion on aircraft carriers, that video exists. It is, if I remember correctly, it's titled "What If Playable Aircraft Carriers?" And I think it even has its own playlist in my channel, the What If series, although it never really became a series. That Nelson scares me. But I do know how you sink a Nelson, and this was just shooting the bow. At least that's how you sink them currently. I see a torpedo in the water. Don't know who that's aimed at, but I do see it from the Nelson. I really wish this thing had a faster reload than the standard Battleship reload. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, Naval needs a complete overhaul and stuff like that. But it's not that simple. And most of the people you do hear saying it then have just complete wish list stuff. That's just what they want to see and not what would actually just be objectively better. Which, newsflash, that is very difficult to do. So my takeaway from the video on carriers I did years ago is that escort carriers would be kind of interesting. Like the smaller ones, escort and light carriers, could be fun. Like, I think fleet carriers are just way too scary. Although, at the same time, in a normal naval match, I don't know how you'd ever get the time to, like, properly launch all your air groups, all your aircraft. That's just... I don't see that happening. We don't need that many more kills. Do we have some easy kills out here? We do have some cruisers we can still delete. Or somebody can just knock at them off it. That works too. I do want to mention something though, but I'm not gonna play that single mission at the moment. There is a user-made mission with a carrier in it. It's really fun. That's not where I want to go. Where is it? Of course, because it's in a squad. But there is a guy. I actually need to invite Frenchie. That made a somewhat playable aircraft carrier that launches aircraft. You can select the target for that aircraft, and they will land or try to. And it's really cool. I can't really showcase it at the moment, but it is a thing on Warzone Live, and it's really, really cool. I forget who the person was that made it. Now, I don't know. Last I heard, Phoenix, and I don't want to speak too much about it, is that the group that was behind that list of changes has completely turned on the guy that made the list, because they went behind their back. So, yeah. Also, Frenchie, a big problem. We are playing 6-7, not 7-0. And I am going to stand by that that's a different BR. So I'm just going to... Yep. Like, some people might think it's unnecessary or just ineffective, but I am going to play 6-7. Not 7-0. So I'm just gonna make sure he understands as well. And yeah, he's swapping over. Okay. He is probably listening. Alrighty. Off we go into a 4-man squad like this. Making kind of slow progress on this star, but it's fine. Doesn't have to happen today. I am, I think, making decent progress towards that battleship. Oh, yes, I am. I started today with 200,000 left to go. So I'm making very decent research progress towards it. I am still getting the RP bonus, and it does help as the same rank. Very neat. I can't wait for the next update though, because despite all of the changes that will make it very difficult to predict what the gameplay will be like again, it does look interesting. There's some cool ships being added. It's gonna be a while before the next update though. I think that isn't until June? Yep. Yeah, the only event, but like the only nations where we haven't gotten an event battleship for yet are Russia and Italy. I'm not quite sure what you would give to Italy, or no, not Italy, Russia, because that would be a bit. Yeah, I also find that just sticking to like in a match for a longer time, you'll get more RP out of it. But yeah, well, yeah, Italy could get some stuff. Not entirely sure what, but they do get some stuff. There's the there is a Stalingrad in the files still with 12-inch guns, but that's like okay. I was about to say it's a bit weird to give like an event ship that is so iconic to your top tier lineup, but then I just remember that France literally got Strasbourg, which is just a better version of their top tier battleship. So who knows? This is going to be a bit of a whack map, but luckily, KMS has joined us. Luckily, this map will allow me to angle pretty well. It is straight up better. It has more armor. I think it sacrifices like 1 or 2 anti-air guns, but it straight up just has more armor than the Dunkirk. Phoenix already getting his cool camo. I still have to wait. Yeah, I genuinely think that the superstructure on Strasbourg actually looks better than Dunkirk. Oh, I'd need to look at the two again in detail. I mean, yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste to like all front turret battleships. I like them.
Attack the enemy!
I'm getting pelted by somebody. Yeah, Renown is a really good looking ship. I think the Warspite coming will also be a very nice looking ship, just because of those Queen Anne's Mansion style superstructures for later British battleships are just gorgeous. I can't wait for when we get a King George V either. Okay. He's just going to the side of me. We're in Alaska, you don't see many of those. It's... The thing about Warspite is that it's not actually particularly good. It is just another 15-inch dreadnought. But it is Warspite. It is a battleship with quite some history behind it. update. And I'm gonna start slowly reversing. I don't really want to push out in the open like this. And the enemy Strasbourg has the exact same idea. One day, when I will get HGVT secondaries. It's a crime that it doesn't really, to be honest. Also, you know what? Are we all sitting here? I think yes. I'm not pushing, never mind. I'm curious if I could detonate the Alaska in the back. Let's go through the middle of the Alaska. So the guns are 1 and a bit. So 1 and a bit. It is a bit boring, I know. It's not usually what I do with my ships either. I'm just not confident in the survivability of Strasbourg. On the other hand, we could just go find out. Also, I got the shallow room on the Alaska in the first hit. Perfect. So you know what? If nobody's going to lead the charge, you should be the one leading it, I guess. Hold on. There's a Scharnhorst rever... Okay. I should not look too closely at the behavior of Scharnhorst players. I'm getting very angry. One ahead. Undershot. There we go. I do not yet have parts in FPE, and that is noticeable in my repair times. See, this is what I meant with why I didn't repair flooding at the beginning of the last match. It's because you're just constantly repairing your flooding if you're taking a lot of fire. So I really just shouldn't be holding my fire because of it. Let's fire a salvo. What else do we have over here? Just more Strasbourg and more, yeah, just more Strasbourg. Just lots and lots of Strasbourg. Okay, so the problem is I'm angling towards these guys, but they are starting to get in front of my armor, and I do not like that. Enough lead, might be, but not enough pan, I think.
Excellent.
One Strasbourg annihilated.
Destroy the target.
I want to aim 2 notches in front of center line. So let's do that. Oh, but he's flooding like crazy. I might actually have to shoot him. Let's shoot it behind him. And I'm just gonna charge into the sea point. Showing a bit too much broadside there at the moment. clear. No computer. Okay. I think that Alaska is already missing both his front turrets, I'm not sure. So he's in a prime position to just hammer wreck me right now. We will ignore it for the time being. Not quite sure what you mean with it, Jorg. Let's see if we can repair this from guns again. I've got a pretty constant turn going at the moment just to keep my angle. Other than that, I don't really do that. Yeah, but there's a Moffat. Where is there a Moffat? Oh, A. Sorry. I thought it was capturing C. Yamashiro. It does seem like I'm being a pretty decent distraction for all their gunfire. All my guns are back up, so let's stop repairing. And just keep driving to the sea point. Is that a Fuso? It is a Fuso. Just sitting behind the island. Like, yeah, this ship is actually pretty decently armored. It is just that you have to angle it. You cannot go straight bow in, or people will just detonate you. And going just broadside on also will kill you. But other than that, it has pretty decent armor. Of course, I'm going to flood to death now, though. And that's a fire in the magazine. I mean, the turret repair is not that frequent, to be perfectly honest. And remember, I don't have parts on this ship. The repairs are very long. And now we're gonna call to a halt because we're in the cap. And we are just gonna continue being an absolute pain. No. So that's a thing that is a bit misleading. The damage model isn't like that for these turrets, and that's also not how it really works in real life. Sure, the turret is split into two halves, but it doesn't mean the turret ring is. Like, I'm pretty sure that the shock of a battleship caliber shell hitting the turret would knock out the turret ring anyways. But yeah, there we go. Ammunition just exploded from a fire. But oh well. I captured the point. You see, that's the problem with pushing up. If you're the only one that pushes up, yeah, that just happens. Now, where is he? Where is our Scharnhorst right there? He's finally starting to move, but very timidly for a Scharnhorst. Yeah, your turn now, Phoenix. Good luck. Oh boy, rank 5 US coast, that is rough. Weirdly enough, I have liked Hoquiam. I've spaded it recently and it's been alright. If you're not facing any competent destroyers. Like, if you're facing nothing but literal newbies who are playing reserve destroyers and don't know what they're doing, Hoquiam is fine. I think Hawkweem is preceded by PT-810. Both are boats, so that's fine. What else do you have? Let's see. Cyclone, absolute garbage. LCS is fine, but not the legend it used to be. Dealey is good. Dealey is fine. And what is it? Newish one with 2 5-38s. I keep forgetting its name. Yeah. No, battleship. Only destroyers can spawn up there. Cruisers and above can only spawn down here. Which means that you have to cross open ocean to get to the capture points. Cool bow, that's the one RB, thank you. I don't have much of an opinion on cool bow. I haven't seen many of them. No. Battleship is not Douglas. Do not get the Douglas if you're thinking it's a good ship. Don't. It is not a good coastal v coastal ship. Missiles are funny, but it is not a good platform. Yeah, Cyclone can. I haven't spaded Cyclone yet. It's really weird with stock belt. So the stock belt on the Cyclone, it carries 25mm Bushmaster cannons, and the stock belt is a 50-50 mix between high explosive and APDS. The thing is that those two shells have wildly different velocities. So, and I think your guns are actually aiming with the high explosive shells. So when you're using stock belts on Cyclone, your APDS shells just go over the target you're shooting at, and the high explosive shells don't really do much damage and have a smaller maximum effective range than the APDS belts. So the highest priority for Cyclone is definitely unlocking the other two belts so you can switch between the two. And I'm still at that stage where I actually have to unlock both of those belts. Well, it's not a spread. That's the thing. Well, granted, again, I don't have the actual belts unlocked, but the stock belt is not a weapon spread issue. It's the fact that the two shells have wildly different muzzle velocities. So it's just, why did they make a belt that is 50% HE and 50% APDS when those shells don't land at the same spot? Yeah, it's no problem. And yeah, Douglas is just a modernized Asheville at 4.0, where I will say though, there is no greater satisfaction in Naval than just blasting an aircraft out of its spawn with a missile. It is the biggest hit of dopamine you can imagine. But Douglas is not really worth it. I've forgotten how expensive Douglas actually is, because I do own it. It's just not effective. It is not an effective grinder to grind a tree with. Like at all. It's a fun, like, collector's item-ish. It's not an effective premium. Oh, the Alaska is on B. Ah, I should have seen the word coming. That's an AI. That's how there's a player. I don't get how you can play a Scharnhorst and not be aggressive in it. Like, I think for one of the stars I played Scharnhorst again. It is just so stupidly. It is just stupid. How aggressive you can be in it. Yeah, PTA-12 is pretty fun. It took me a while to warm up to PTA-12 with its weird funnels, but it's pretty fun. You know, I've actually recently seen a lot of people bring up the fact that the POCs, the PR-12-12s, can't use the iglas. If those iglas are the same iglas as on the bird now, there's no point in them. They're genuinely useless. I've actually recently unlocked bird now, so I had a chance to actually test it in a custom battle. And against single-engined props, your maximum lock-on range against a head-on prop going for you is like 1.2 kilometers. At which point your guns actually outrange it. You did have a longer lock-on range against dual-engine props, like bigger bombers. Like 2.2 with the iglas, or Strellas. Yeah. Oh, that's right, they're Strellas, they're not iglas. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people compare the two, comparing Burnow and the 12-12s. Like saying, why does Burnow get it, but 12-12 doesn't? I get the feeling most of those people don't actually know what the missiles on the Burnow are like. I'm not actually too familiar with the Russian iglas. There's not a Hangulsk somewhere? Oh god, let's see if we can stop that. Against Burnow they should. I haven't tested it. I've only tested it like against AI aircraft. I haven't properly tested against flares. It should, technically speaking. I'm not used to Battleship reloads anymore. I've been playing too many fast-firing cruisers. We're gonna try a sus, but it's not gonna happen, I think.
Take him down.
Although French might be going in for a sneaky Fritz axe. 6 kilometers is pretty respectable for a naval lock-on range. That's another thing about the Burnow's missile, they're contact fuse. I don't think those missiles carry a proxy warhead. Alaska might be drifting out of the A point. And Camel's going in for a sneaky bomb, which I don't think he actually got off. French is going in for a Fritz axe. Also, the Alaska will be a spicy target to go for with Fritz axe. This thing getting proper AP will be a big boon towards it. Come on, Frenchie, can you do it in time? That's the question. Or is he still side climbing? He might be.
Somebody attack him. We no longer have the advantage.
Well, that's going to be this game over. Unless we somehow just motor on towards a B point, but that's not gonna happen. Yeah, it does have that, I think the other Colbert has the same aircraft, I think. The French heavy cruiser. Yeah, Strasbourg has been treating me pretty decently. The guns are a little bit anemic, but it is 6-7, that's fine. It's been treating me pretty well. It's not bad. That'll nuke any cruiser you shoot at. There's some battleship armor at range it kind of struggles with, but even then, it's fine in most cases. I think the most important part about Strasbourg and definitely Dunkirk is just angle the armor. You need to be very aware that you're dealing with a box of high explosive in the front of your ship, and you need to angle the armor around it. But if you're aware of that, it's pretty good, pretty alright. I do too. I wonder how it'll change with the AP. But there's going to be a lot more changes than just the AP, so we'll have to wait and see. That's too much lead, isn't it? Maybe? Oh, it's actually got a shell room. Like this thing has shell rooms? See, that guy's going almost fully bow in, and that is not what you should do in this ship. Oh, he's going fully bow in, is he? Please do. Let me try and see if I can showcase why you shouldn't. And I couldn't. But with full AP on actual battleship, bigger battleship guns, that will just go straight into an Amarak. And he's going full bow in again. Absolutely not what you should do with this ship. I think he's actually trying to turn over to get into cover. There we go. French got the Alaska with Fritz X. Some guns. But I still couldn't yell at it because my sap, by the time it gets to the magazine, it just doesn't have the fuse delay. There never will, because that is not what the turrets do. The separation of the turret is definitely something to help with crew loss, to help with like crew survivability. At the end of the day, they're still on the same turret wing. I've mentioned this earlier, but oh, okay, those were torpedoes. But I mentioned earlier that the kinetic impact of a battleship shell against a turret will still mess up the turret ring, whether it's a split turret or not. So I want to get into a front mag detonation of these Strasburgs. I just don't have the travel for it, I think. Just a front shell room again. Actually, that's something I need to check out between Dunkirk and Strasbourg, if they have a different shell room / magazine layout. Somebody's decapping A. Absolute baller. I might still win this. I'm tickling that magazine storage in between, like behind the front turret. One more salvo, maybe. Come on. Or the fire in upper bat, maybe. Who knows? Come on. I've done this in Italian battleships. Come on. I can do it with this thing. Hello, Ryan. Everything's quite alright. Although I am trying to detonate this Strasburg and just failing horribly. Well, drive-by shooting it'll be then. Let's get this boat up to speed. Okay, Nevada, that's a bit scary. As well as Belfast. And that's also a turret I'd rather not have. That's a fire I definitely don't want to have. I have. It is not great. It is just not a great ship. In general, those early French dreadnoughts are just not good ships. And I don't really have any tips for Courbet. It's just not great. I would highly recommend to just not... I need to replay those ships because I keep forgetting how good the guns actually are. But I remember them not being particularly great. To the point where I'd actually recommend just focus on killing cruisers rather than trying to mess with enemy battleships. Okay, need to stop. And the mission failed? Oh, come on, time ran out. Okay. I didn't realize we were in there for a full half hour, but I guess we were. That's disappointing. We had all 3 caps. At least it's FP unlocked. And next will be parts. Yeah, that's a big bummer. But yeah, I have Courbet. Let me actually look at those guns again. Yeah, that's... like, the penetration value you should look at, in my opinion, for battleships especially, is 7.5 kilometer range, 30-degree angle. That's always a good range to look at, because that's, well, 7.5 kilometers to 10 kilometers is for battleships more. And that being barely 200 millimeters in that range, that is, oof. Well, if you wanted to put a talisman on any vehicle, unironically, put it on Strasbourg if you're going to put a talisman on a French battleship. Like, what's the price of it? 2,600 is pretty pricey. But if you got it during the naval event and you don't have any of the other French battleships, consider it. It's not bad. And with it getting actual proper AP next update, it'll be a lot better. Yep, I'm gonna invite Frenchie again. I never really got to love the Emile Bertin like some people did. I found it to be incredibly squishy when I spaded it. Which, I did actually spade it during the botting problem? I don't remember. I don't know when it should be available, because I don't really look at that too much for naval ships, because I always keep them. Is there a... hold on, let me try and find where it could be. Coupon upgrade. Does it tell you when it becomes tradable? It doesn't, does it? I don't know. I don't know when it becomes tradable. I'm sorry to say. But yeah, the thing is, with Courbet, try to stay out of trouble. Try to stay out of the focus fire of bigger enemy battleships, and focus on cruisers. Because the thing is as well, AI rewards are improving significantly next update. So it'll be a bit easier to get more RP out of your games by just focusing on cruisers. I think the main reason was because Bretagne is cheaper. I always go for the next ship that is cheapest RP-wise. And because ever since I knew Strasbourg was coming out, I just stuck with it. I also was researching Bretagne because I was still spinning La Galissonière, so I got more bonus RP towards it. And then, yeah. Okay, let's go to the next battle. Duplay. I like the Colbert. Duplay being slightly up armored, but 5.7 is a bit of a shame compared to Colbert, because Colbert is pretty fun at 5.3. Of course, now you have La Galissonière and Duplay at the same battle rating. The problem though with this is you only have research efficiency on one battleship. All the others are rank 6, and you don't have any efficiency with Duplay anymore. For the rest of the tree, definitely just stick with Duplay, I'd say, rather than Courbet. You'll get a lot more performance out of it. At least in my opinion. Let's spawn up there and see what happens. Strasburg, of course. Whatchamacallit? Flinger. Player Naval, probably. That's actually kind of scary, seeing a Italian dreadnought. What are those called again? I keep forgetting what class of ship that is. Oh well. Yeah, Strasbourg over there as well. What's our penetration to that range? 11 kilometers. Kind of angled. Very angled, actually. 4. Well, let's try it anyways. Destroyed Roanoke, that's very nice. I actually want to try and sink the Des Moines sooner rather than later. They are adding Warspite next update. And it is indeed a very cool ship. In game it doesn't really add anything, but it is, historically speaking, it's very cool. Hello there, Jeff. About length of him. Magazines are 1 dot from the middle, so aim 1 dot ahead, and let's see what that happens. And the other Strasbourg got to the moment before my shells land. Okay, of course. That's AI Cleveland, AI. That's a Tennessee, which is a bit scary. Especially since... do we have any 7.0s? Don't. Ooh. Every now and then, yes. Every now and then I do look at user missions on War Thunder Live. Not on livestream usually. Unless there's any particular one you're thinking of. any particular one you want to talk about? That's preferably naval oriented, of course. We're in the gap, so let's just slow down a bit. I have seen that one. I've mentioned it earlier in the stream. I have seen that one. I've played it a bit. I've tried it out a bit. It's very cool. It is a very, very cool custom mission. I think the most interesting part about it is that they actually managed to code it. That certain types of planes will go after certain types after the target you designated for it. That's very cool that they managed to do that. I've never gotten any of the aircraft to actually land on the carrier though, but the user mission did state that that was very buggy. You know, it's a very cool user mission, that. It's a very decent concept. I think it's it's very crude because it had to work, of course, with what we have in game. Like if we were to actually see playable carriers, I'd like to see more detail in certain mechanics. But as a proof of concept, it was very fun, very interesting. I think somebody else I know actually converted that one into one for modern carriers as well, although it's even more buggy. But that's, yeah, very cool stuff. Yeah, so you know who I'm talking about. You're probably on that thread on the forums as well then about aircraft carriers. The aircraft carrier is thread by Mother Hen, I believe. I follow that thread as well every now and then. Because he does a lot of data mining on War Thunder Mobile and their carrier implementation, as well as other data mining around Naval when it comes to the live server. And he's shown some interesting stuff. I think he is in my Discord server as well. So every now and then he posts in there as well, which I greatly appreciate. Those shots were gorgeous, but sadly they're just 33 centimeters up. Yeah, I know. It's a really fun thing to see all those data mines pop up about carriers and submarines, and knowing that there's stuff about them in the files. For submarines, it's a bit more obvious, seeing that we had multiple submarine events, but seeing carrier stuff in the files is always interesting. Always interesting. It's looking decent. Ooh, a bit high. And a bit too far back. But I think in general, like even if carriers are probably still for quite a long ways out, that is also the thing I'm hoping they'll do. Is they'll use one of the April Fools to test carriers. And I would love to actually have a naval-oriented April Fools for once again. Although I can't complain too much for that submarine event a couple of years back. It was great. Not too high again. Yeah, but I was going to say, because I actually kind of forgot what I was about to say, is that this year's going to be a very interesting one nonetheless, even without carriers. That was not Christmas, that was the 10th anniversary. It was when we had that Battle of the Atlantic event, I think. Yeah, almost the same thing. And that was a very, very fun event. You know, like in a recent-ish forum post as well, they said, the Snail has said that we're getting completion of battleships, probably playable submarines, and better water graphics this year. Actually, I find it a bit hard to believe, Jeff, because I didn't experience it as one-sided. It was definitely a lot harder for the submarines to stay undetected, but you could win as both sides pretty evenly. At least I didn't experience it as too one-sided. I think it's from that side, I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on submarines. Especially, I just want to get my hands on more Japanese ships. I'm getting an entire new ship type, so will mean even more Japanese ships, hopefully. And unlike the other ship game, at least, I hope they'll actually add Japanese submarines. Ouch, my gun barrels. Okay, it's still the Tennessee shooting me. There's something there. And there's an aircraft on the way. Well, the thing is, Striker, right? The I-400 is not the only submarine with float planes. I-400 specifically is a carrier that carries dive bombers, like it carries attack aircraft, but plenty of other Japanese submarines carried float planes for reconnaissance. And I think there's a few British submarines as well with float planes. Yeah, incredibly cool. I want them. I don't like that. A mine? Oh. Okay. Not often I get bombed by mines nowadays. I think I'm not gonna last too long in this particular vessel. Surcouf could be pretty funny as well. But again, there's also a British submarine with a very big gun on it that could be funny. Although it doesn't have a proper turret to my knowledge. Ooh, that's sort of... And that's sort of permanent flying as well, yep. There we go. By a mine. I don't really want to spawn on the side with the Tennessee on it. Seems a bit dangerous. Yeah, also on the earlier question about ISE, I think it's a crying shame that the ISE we got in game wasn't the BBV version. Like, even if you didn't make the BBV easy functional as a carrier, it is such a unique ship that it's a shame we haven't gotten it in game. And who cares if it technically has worse firepower than the normal Ise? It is a much cooler ship. I mean, probably. But I'm definitely getting it. Whether we get it as an event or not. Like, the thing that kind of frustrates me about us not having the BBV Ise is that it is genuinely a really good platform to experiment with carriers. Because it is a fully functional battleship, but it carries strike aircraft. So you could, you know, try out launching strike aircraft, coordinating them, see how that AI works. You couldn't recover them, not necessarily. Well, see, could you recover? No, they couldn't, could they?
Attack the enemy!
I need to read up on the ECs on the strike aircraft again, but to my knowledge, they carried D4Ys that didn't have floats on them. So they weren't supposed to be recovered by the ECs. But again, I'd have to read up on those, because I'm not entirely sure. You're just hitting all of my I want these ships, aren't you? No, that is a misconception with World of Warships. The Tone did never carried strike aircraft. I mean, theoretically it might be able to, but that's not what Tone was for.
If we don't do something fast, the enemy will win.
Tone was purely a reconnaissance aircraft cruiser, which that was the role of Japanese cruisers in their force, was for reconnaissance. That's why all of them carried float planes. And why they made Tone as a scout cruiser. I think they also actually refitted one of the Megamis to have a rear flight deck like a Tone. So removed the rear two turrets and then added more, you know, space for float planes. There's some pictures of that out there, but yeah. Could also maybe be a cool thing to see. I mean, yeah, it could. Well, big. Wasn't it like just a 250? Or was it bigger than a 250? It could attack, but they're not designed to attack ships. And the Tone was not designed to be a strike aircraft carrier. Sure, Jeff, but I don't feel pressured into doing it. And if you don't want to stick around, that's fine as well. Oh, there's a battle behind him, okay. Let's sink that cruiser first if we can. And then the dreadnought behind him. Yeah, 250 kilo bomb. It's not particularly big. Also, that's, if I'm not mistaken, the same bomb as a D3A, isn't it, basically? What do we have on the flank? It's an AI Cleveland Renault. Yeah, but still, the Tone we have in game didn't carry any aircraft anyways. That, I'm sorry to say, is none of your business. Well, the finer details are none of your business. But basically, administrative work. That's what I do for a job. This, at least, isn't my job. And I don't plan to make it my job either. But oh well. Yeah, and I understand the curiosity, but yeah. Oof. That's what Fritz asked. Yeah, exactly. I remember that image somewhere of the Mogami carrier. And it's very, very goofy. That's one of the main reasons why I like Japanese ships, is because they're just goofy. There's so many weird ones in there. And I absolutely love weird and wacky ships. What am I repairing? I don't need to repair. And I just lost my turret, to say that. So we'll probably see in the proper World War II fit Nagato at some point. Just be patient. It would be a very good salvo if it was full bore AP. Actually, it was a bit too far forward. It's gonna be the same problem with this Strasburg again, am I? Where I can't pan him at all. There used to be. There was a small time where there was a Barbette bug, and the Japanese secondaries were incredibly funny against Scharnhorst. I haven't played the Japanese battleships in ages though, so I'm not sure how effective they are against the Scharnhorst. You can. Pretty easily, but this sap is making it a bit hard. I don't like that. I don't like seeing my AA shoot straight up. This usually means something scary is about to come at my way, but that was just a 1 and 9, and I'm not too scared of 1 and 9s. Didn't carry the biggest bomb. And there we go. He showed too much broadside. Is that an early 109? Looks like it. Oh well. Yeah, on the subject of carriers, one of the ones I'd like to see is just Japanese light ones. Any of them, really. I think I'm a particular fan of the Ryujo, just because of how its history as being a bit of a loophole exploiter. Also, like, sure, that's the first Japanese carrier, so why not? But I think Ryujo is just at that special place of just being I don't know, it's a bit weird.
Attention to the designated grid square.
That's the thing, I'm actually not all that familiar with the later Japanese carriers. Like, my knowledge of the Japanese carriers stops at, like, the Taiho, and that's it. And even then, it's a bit... Not really. Because what that means, completing battleships, right? What it actually means in terms of our trees is for Britain, that is King George V and Vanguard. So 2 battleships, arguably. For America, that means they're fast battleships. And maybe a World War II fit Colorado. And that's it. For Russia, there's like Stalingrad and Sovietska Soyuz. 2 ships and that's it. For Japan, there is a modernized Nagato, a Tosa, which is Amagi with more armor and slower, and Yamato. So 3 ships. For France, there is Richelieu, and I think that's about it. Okay. This is going to be painful. Fun. I'm not forgetting, I was about to get to the Italians, but I got distracted by boat. But yeah, then there's the Roma and Sagittarius for Italy, which is like 2 ship classes. For Germany, there is the Bismarck and H39, most likely. So again, like 2 ships. I don't know either. Like, that's also saying, what do they mean of completing? Do they mean just getting to their biggest battleships, or do they mean actually adding all of their battleships? Gneisenau and Tirpitz. Gneisenau is just a Scharnhorst, Tirpitz is a Bismarck. There's no difference there. I'm talking about classes in general, because the Americans have 3 fast battleship classes. Jean Bart is a Richelieu, isn't it? At least I remember it being a Richelieu. Yeah, like, when it comes to ship additions, I usually like to talk just about classes. Because we don't need every single battleship of every single class.
If we don't do something fast, the enemy will win.
Yeah, no worries. But, so... it isn't that lofty of a goal. It is still, it is kind of lofty, because it is still a lot of battleships. It's like 2 or 3 battleships for each nation, which is quite a lot compared to what we usually get each update, which, like, for the next one is just 2. Actually, are we getting 2 battleships? We're getting, yeah, we're getting Colorado and we're getting Warspite. So completing it in a year might be a bit of a stretch, but it's feasible if they really, you know, start working on it. But the thing is, what is there to backfill? We're already at, like, every single 15-inch ship in this game is already an any day now. So the Romas, the Richelieus, the Bismarcks, that's an any day now. And any updates, they can come out, and it would be perfectly reasonable that they come out. I think, like, the next big step would definitely be the fast battleships for the Americans. I think that's the next big step in terms of battleship progression, and then we're there. Technically speaking, they didn't actually say that subs would be this year. They said that they're working on playable subs, and that they're working on adding a new ship type this year, which is most likely going to be the submarines, but might not be. And who knows? Who knows? Montana was never laid down. Well, the construction progress of the Montana is very dubious. Whether it actually happened or not. At least from what I've heard. No, I don't really like the idea of adding 3 dreadnoughts because they're just not fun. There's North Carolina, there's South Dakota, and Iowa. Yep, there you go, Jeff. You got it. Let's get damage control, finally. And let's get HETF as the next upgrade. And then we'll get improved rangefinders after that. That was not what I wanted to click. I wanted to just update the process again. And off we go. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how submarines will perform to know which one would be good or bad. We'll have to see when I add them. Because unlike other ship types, I don't think any one submarine will be like the best. Well, you could argue that in terms of speed, that'll be a very important factor on a submarine. But if that speed comes at the cost of greater detection range, it might not be the best. They could. That's definitely true. The Lexington-class battlecruiser could come. Whether or not we'll see it before we get any of the fast battleships, who knows. Yeah, there are indeed those people as well. And I think those people are wrong, basically. Like, first and foremost, Gaijin has explicitly said they're not working on anti-ship missiles this year. So, thank God. But I don't see why people want anti-ship missiles. Especially at like... So, the biggest problem I have with anti-ship missiles, right, is what BR do you put them at? Plain and simple. What's their battle rating? Kind of the same problem with carriers, but I think it's more extreme for missile ships. Also, at this other end it isn't. I don't know. So, that's the thing, right? Okay. Let's put missile ships at a higher battle rating, so they're out of the way of cruisers and destroyers, right? No problem. To my knowledge, and I will just say right now, I'm not that well versed with missiles, with anti-ship missiles. To my knowledge, most anti-ship missiles are not great at dealing with armor, right? So, if they are not great at dealing with armor, and they're usually on pretty lightly armored ships in return, like they're cruisers or destroyers, what is to stop somebody from taking a battleship to 10.0 and just obliterating those missile destroyers with gunfire? Like that is my first question about putting them at a higher battle rating. What is to stop somebody from just taking a battleship and just ignoring most of the anti-ship missiles and just obliterating those ships? Is it a Dunkirk going straight bow in? Well, Strasbourg. Shall we try and do the funny? After we're done with flooding repair. And cutting off. Apparently Strasbourg a bit, but I really need to get behind that island as cover. Of course, of course. But the thing is, a lot... Again, I'm not that well versed in Cold War vessels. What is the payload on those, on most homing torpedoes? Like, how often are they just not anti-submarine torpedoes, or are they actual anti-shipping torpedoes? Because I can tell you right now that an anti-submarine torpedo does jack squat to a battleship. But I do know that there are some actual anti-shipping guided torpedoes out there. It's just not something I've really read into. And I think that's going to be a long way out. And by the time we get there, well, we'll get there when we get there. And I'll cover it nonetheless when we do get them. Yeah, the Bravi torpedoes are... Yeah, but acoustic torpedoes are weird. At least the World War II ones. I've actually done a little bit of reading into it because we did get into a little bit of a conversation on my... Was it on my Discord server, I think? About acoustic... No, it was on a different Discord server. About acoustic torpedoes and how they work on submarines. And they're a bit strange because they also have very easy relatively easy countermeasures. It's just strange. I don't know how they would work in game. Jeff, that is also something... Actually, did I discuss that in my video on carriers? If a player lands on a ship? Don't know. But yeah, that's weird stuff about carriers. You'd have to think about. But if you haven't seen that video, it did actually get posted in that forum thread on aircraft carriers. That is my video that got posted in there by somebody I don't actually know. But give that a watch if you want to see my full opinion on carriers, if you haven't seen it already. Oh, hello, enemy Strasburg. Yep, that most recent post. It did like surprise me seeing my own video that's several years old just being posted in that thread again. It's very, very strange to see that happen. But yeah. Yeah, it's... Oh boy. It's a really big topic that takes a while to really talk about, carriers, in my opinion. What was I going to say? Yeah, I just don't know how that would work. Shit. Like how the like the turnaround time for carriers would work. Because, like, my biggest takeaway from the carrier discussion is that when I want to play, if we were to see carriers in game, what I would want to play is the aircraft carrier. I couldn't care less about what the aircraft actually do. I want to play the carrier, and with all of its intricacies and difficulties trying to manage the air group. Depends on the carrier. There are escort carriers and there are light carriers. Like stuff like the Ryuja, for example, is a light carrier and it could recover aircraft. That's Strasbourg. And yeah, Fuso, I've been enjoying Strasbourg. If you employ proper angling, if you shoot at people who are a threat, fun. I don't know about the Bogue. The only real carriers I know a little bit about are the Japanese ones, and even those I don't know all of. Oh, there goes the shuttle. Well, Fuso, it's come up earlier, and honestly, the best test bed for carriers in this game would have been the battle carrier Ise. And I think that's going to eternally remain, in my opinion. That's the best way to test carriers. Is you just add the battleship carrier easy.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Because it could function as a perfectly normal ship, but you could test how you launch air groups, how you control them. Sure, you couldn't test how you to recover them. Still, there's a lot you could test of it. Technically, again, the carrier Mogami was also not a strike carrier. That was a recon aircraft carrier. But yeah, an expansion on float plane mechanics alone, even for recon purposes, could be a decent way to do stuff. Nice stuff, Kenneth. Like, one part I've always found a bit of a shame about float planes, ones we currently have, is that they're very simplistic in terms of AI. You either send them off in a straight line, where they maintain the same altitude, or you make them turn into a large circle, but you can't really do anything with them. Yeah, I mean, that's also, Striker, that's something I brought up in the carrier video, is the difference in strength. Like, I specifically brought up Hosho, which has incredibly terrible aircraft, but a semi-decent gun armament. And then you have stuff like the Akagis, before the refit, with like a 8-inch gun broadside. Stuff like that. I'm in a terrible position because I can be ammo-wrecked so easily. And Jeff, yes, you're correct. I believe Hugo was also converted. Both of them were converted to battleship carriers, to my knowledge. Oh, I was hoping that would be a detonation. It wasn't. Angle away, angle away. Come on, guns, behave. Okay, I'll take that. I don't know. Like, so the thing I brought up in the carrier video, right, is Hosho. Incredibly bad aircraft, but has two 140mm guns on either side of the ship. What battle rating do you give Hosho, for an example? It carries 9 biplane fighters and 9 biplane torpedo bombers, in an example I gave during that video, and has two 140mm guns aside. What battle rating would you give that?
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. We're winning.
Destroy the target.
So, in the video I also made the argument, carriers are obviously blue water ships, and blue water ships start no lower than 3.3. Okay, so you give it 5.3, right? Let's say you do 5.3 for Hosho. 18 planes total. 4.3, 4.7, like, let's put it at 4.3. I'll put it at 4.3. 18 aircraft total, 9 biplanes, 9 biplane fighters, 9 biplane torpedo bombers at 4.3. A Yugure, a single Yugure, or any of the Fletcher derivatives at 4.3 would wipe out that air group instantly with HEVT. A single enemy ship could do that. So, seeing as a single enemy ship of HEVT could wipe out the entire air group of a Hosho at 4.3, but Hosho itself has the gun armament to actually fight at 4.3, what's the point? Like, this is the problem with a lot of early carriers, especially, is that their planes do not match the potency in battle rating that the carrier does. So let's say you take a fleet carrier, or a bigger carrier like the usual, which has, oh, I forgot the number, but for sake of argument, let's say 15 zeros and 15 B5Ns, for the sake of argument. So that's 15 3.7 aircraft and 15 1.7 aircraft. What battle rating would you give it? Ryujo also doesn't have any anti-surface capability in its main guns. It just has anti-air 127s to my knowledge. And it carries pretty low BR aircraft, but a lot of them. What battle rating? Like, let's say that in this case the Ryujo would be 5.0. You know, a low BR but still high-ish. But it carries 15 zeros, 15 B5Ns. What is the most potent 5.0 fighter you can think of? And how would one player fighter spawn not ruin an entire aircraft's carrier group? Like, there's a lot of balancing difficulties with aircraft carriers that I just don't see how you fix that. So that's the weird thing is about Shinano. Shinano, technically speaking, isn't a fleet carrier. It's a very weird ship. But if any of you are familiar with the British HMS Unicorn, Shinano is basically actually an aircraft repair ship. Like a floating, you know, how do you say this? I think Unicorn was named a floating workbench for an aircraft, basically. So yeah. It's just something like that. Well, when I made that video about aircraft carriers, I think I spent a good month or two just reading up and thinking about how that would work balancing wise, and it is a rabbit hole and a half once you really get into it. Because it's a kind of fun exercise. Looks like I think I'm skipping over a few questions. Also, Jorg, about top battleships, I haven't seen a single AI ship higher than battle rating 6.3 yet. He's gonna try again. Like the question if like submarines are much easier to implement than aircraft carriers ever will be, balance wise. He's hiding behind a bullet. Walk. Yeah, but there's a difference between unfinished and never laid down. How to say it? The requirement for a ship to be added is that it just started production, because a ship production is very different towards an aircraft or a tank. Prototypes aren't a thing. So when a ship starts production, it means it's going to get finished. Usually. Shinano's completed enough. I'm just reading through the chat because it's actually going faster than I usually experience. So I need to keep up. I need to read. I need to read up more on Japanese carriers and carriers in general. Because I'm being arty struck. There has to be a coastal somewhere. She was, well, yes and no, Jeff, it's not quite like that. Shinano was not quite completed. She was still undergoing some last finishing touches. She was moved to another port in fear of air attack. That wasn't technically her maiden voyage. Technically. At least for as far as I know. I don't know who's... Ah, that's gonna be our culprit for the arty strike. Forward because the torpedoes are coming in. Although I should be able to dodge it. That front one is a bit scary though. Come on, thread the needle. Thread the needle. It'll be fine. Okay. That's the first. Hitting the ammunition directly and it not blowing up. Okay. Oh, come on. But I have not been moved from this cap. So that should be a victory. Just facing off against his enemy Dunkirk. Aren't there several Ark Royals? But I assume you're just talking about the World War II carrier. But yeah. That's, like... For me personally, the main reason I would love to have playable aircraft carriers is mainly just for events, cinematic purposes, and custom battles. Yeah, it's definitely... Like... The reason people like talking about carriers is because it's a hypothetical. It's like, they could happen. You know, might be fun. Submarines are pretty much set in stone. We know that they're coming. They are still definitely an interesting conversation, but I'm not too well versed in their torpedoes. The only real opinion I have on submarines is based on the event we had for the 10th anniversary. Or was it the 11th? Anyways, that World War II submarine event is the only real measurement I have for it. And it's quite something. But I'm looking forward to submarines. Especially Japanese ones. Because I'm fairly certain there's some Japanese submarines that are also armed with a 140mm gun. Well, yes and no. I've said this before on other streams or in other places. In my personal opinion, if they want to make subs easy-ish to grind and spade, they should put them either in the coastal tree or at coastal battle ratings. Well, up to like destroyer battle ratings. And my original idea was if all submarines have at least a deck gun, they can do stuff against coastals. On the surface. Sure, it's not what a submarine does, but it's it would be more consistent to try and spade a submarine like that than having to hunt down blue water ships. Another thing is that if submarines are at the coastal battle rating, it'll give the coastals with anti-submarine capabilities a lot more purpose if the submarine goes to hide out below the ocean. And you could do that as well, because the addition of submarines themselves will not make sub-chasers useful in blue water matches. Probably. That's always the big concern about submarines, is will they make an imbalance in the surface fleet force? That's always the concern of submarines, and that is a valid concern. Personally, I don't have the concern, but it is one. It exists. Because I don't think submarines will be that popular. They definitely will be in the first few weeks on release, but after that, especially in realistic battles, I can see their popularity dropping quickly. Because a thing I really want to drive home about my experience with that event a couple of years back is that submarines are blind below the waves, and at the periscope depth can be killed pretty easily by gunfire as well. Like during the Battle of the Atlantic submarine event, the 5-inch high explosive from the Fletcher was enough to almost splash damage a periscope depth submarine. So if that's the case, for 5-inch high explosive, a battleship's main caliber high explosive will definitely splash damage a periscope depth submarine. Also, float planes armed with bombs will be a real threat to submarines as well, if they remain as relatively easily spottable from the air as they were during the event. So there's plenty of counter possibility towards submarines that we already have, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be that, and added to, at least in realistic battles, that submarines will be very slow, their torpedoes will be inconsistent at best. It's... yeah. I don't see them being very effective, but I can see them being very popular for the first few weeks. No, I wouldn't do the submarine PvE. I think that's a bit of a cop-out, really. I also don't think it's necessary. Like, if they do as I say and they put them at coastal battle ratings and you just add submarines with deck guns, they can use your deck guns, get spaded that way by just, you know, dealing with coastals with deck guns, and hey presto. Like, I think that's definitely the... I shouldn't say that, really. I think one of the main concerns for a submarine is it being fun to play and easy to fully upgrade, or at least tolerable to fully upgrade, whilst also at the same time not being unfun for everybody else that has to deal with them.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
I don't think it'll be as for both sides. I don't think so. I can see them being a bit more problematic in arcade, but I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll genuinely have to see. But there's a lot of... I think it'll work. I'm not afraid of it being a shit show like it is in World of Warships. But oh well. Well, I guess we'll find out when the time actually gets there. Well, sure, they don't have anti-submarine equipment, but they do have anti-submarine weapons. And the Strasbourg has been treating me very well. I don't think I've actually been detonated yet by gunfire. I've been detonated by fires, but I haven't been detonated by gunfire yet. Like just a straight shot to the magazine. It's all because you need to angle the ship, and I vaguely know how to angle the ship. Yes, Strasbourg has been a very fun ship, and I'm very happy that it is worth it to have picked up from the event. Here's that Strasbourg from Fuso. I'm trying to remember if that's the same Fuso I've actually played that custom battle with once. Might be. It is you, isn't it? Do you remember that custom battle? What was it again? Oh, it's been a few years now, but that was a fun one. Mainly because we won, but that's the one. It was mainly fun because we won, but yeah. So that's actually something I wanted to talk about as well at some point. I am planning to do a series of events in July, because I've got a relatively big summer holiday in July, at the end of July, and I really want to do just a few events for fun. Maybe during stream days, maybe not. I need to plan it out. I'm not angled optimally. It's been a while since I played one of those events either, from the sim community. They did a few fun naval ones. But then they're a bit harsh for my time zone, from Crab and Wing. But I really wanted to try and join this again. They're fun. Ouch. My shouting. Ooh, I'll have to look into that. But again, time zones might be a bit of a difficulty. Because if Tyrael is the one hosting it, it's gonna be Australian time zone, isn't it? And that is rough for me. Let's swap my turrets, and that's very nice. Okay, I almost followed that.
Destroy the target! I agree! Oh, I kind of thought of that. Yeah, I don't think that works for me either, Friday evenings. Because I've got another hobby I usually do on my Friday evenings. Okay, both Strasburgs have been sunk. Do so if you could move up a little bit. So I can maybe move past you into the gap. Because I really need more ammo. That's the one.
sir. We'll just recreate it at one event and I'll be right behind you. Although with one less working gun than optimally.
Just a little more effort, and victory will surely be ours. Another zone captured, we have the advantage.
I think I definitely want to get some of the mobility upgrades on this ship, because it is a bit sluggish. Stock. Let's see if we can get some sub shells back. Okay, it seems the front turret has some shells back. It is reloading. I think by the time I actually get my next salvo off, this match will be over. There we go. Bit of a nothing burger of a match for me, but yeah, well, happens. And off we go for some more. This next one will probably be the last match for the night, though. So yeah. But yeah, Strasbourg has been treating me incredibly well. And I wasn't expecting it, really. It's been a very fun ship. And if anything, I've actually let me look at my stats whilst I'm looking at his. It's 7 battles, 4 deaths, 15 kills, 10 spawns. I think of those 4 deaths, 1 was because flooding out from mines, 1 was flooding out from gunfire, I think, and 2 was fire to the magazine. It's been treating me well. Fun ship. And if angled well, it can be incredibly tanky, which I really wasn't expecting. If that's going to be the case next update, who knows? But it's been a lot of fun. Oh boy. This map. We have lines Hugo 7-0. And that is another of my squadron members. And we're facing Fuso. Darn. It's always a shame when I'm facing somebody who I actually know. has Frenchy on another team as well. Strasbourg, and we all know what we should do against those. Try and shoot them in the magazine. All that high though, and actually most of those shattered, didn't they? Yep. I'm really hoping the gun performance will be noticeably better next update. Is it a Des Moines I see? Who's turning away? So let's aim up a bit, aim a bit back. Let's see what happens. Probably shouldn't have needed to aim up. Yeah, a bit too high. It is actually pointed away from me there, so it shouldn't be leading under, it should be leading up. Here, just slightly. Ooh, almost. Still a bit high. And pop goes the Des Moines. Oh well, Des Moines class. Ah, we have a creature on the flank. So my policy when it comes to Scharnhorst is if you're in a battleship, and if you're feeling like it, shoot it. And just don't stop shooting it. Currently I'm about to get into cover. And then the Scharnhorst will just be alone. And we'll just keep shooting it. Especially since this teammate in the Texas is already shooting it, I'm gonna shoot it as well. The best way to sink a Scharnhorst is concentrated fire. And yeah, as Fus was saying in the old chat, the stock fast turret reverse on battleships is always nice. Like, these are not slow turrets for a battleship. And I can't wait to get this thing fully upgraded. Some survivability mods, some speed upgrades, Some purification upgrades. This will be a nice ship to have. Oh, that's not something I wanted to see. So really what to do now is angle in. So that Scharnhorst doesn't detonate us. Scharnhorst is about to just get behind an island, so we shouldn't be too worried about it anymore. That might be a problem at some point. What is this? AI. That type of business. And I could also just angle away from the Scharnhorst instead towards it and deal with the threats of this flank. Yeah, that front turret doesn't like being in a turn. I don't think it has much depression over the bow. Not angled towards the Scharnhorst, but oh well. If we get detonated by a Scharnhorst, I guess that's just how it works, isn't it? Look, another Des Moines. And for once I can actually get some use out of the ranging shot feature. Get some lead in. Too much, wasn't it? Darn. Gonna repair because I think I don't have any rangefinders left at the moment for the main guns. Okay, that got disposed of. This sap does really good against these early dreadnoughts. Okay, that's a bit scarier. And that's going straight from my magazine. Yep, I realized a little bit too late. Time to angle. The Char still in the flank being an absolute menace. Of course he is.
Destroy the target.
Guns to ahead. I see some shenanigans going on. Ouch, one of my turrets. Took a little else. Let's splash the magazine. Let's keep it up. I've mentioned it a couple of times before now, but that's not how this turret works. Already the barrels are split between the two, so that's fine. But a split turret is meant for crew survivability, to my knowledge, and overall, like, system survivability. It's not really meant to keep the entire turret operational. Because there might be two separate modules, but they still share the same turret ring. So unless somehow whatever shell hits them doesn't disable the turret ring. Yeah, sure, they might want to continue working. But it's not a feature I'm really missing from the ship. Yeesh. You know, for a Sharn horse to be sitting right there, I haven't seen him do too much. Well, I'm not complaining. That's just a weird spot for the Sharn horse to be, although he does have clear line of sight of a convoy. I didn't think he had too many convoy kills yet, no. It's strange. Because I don't see the point. They're HE only, they're 130mm caliber. I don't see the point in using them. I much rather than be long range anti-air than doing next to no damage with them anyways. There we go. Yeah, they should be. To my knowledge, they're pretty high velocity guns. The rate isn't too bad. They don't have the TF on them yet. But I am currently researching it. Angled enough. Ouch. Shotgun. Needed that. Oh, that's Fuso. Oh no. I'm drifting and decreasing my angle, and that's not good. Rodney's not shooting me, so I have to take on Fuso now. We're both angled, so we can't kill each other. Rodney is suffering from Rodney stuff, so I think we can leave it alone. Oh boy.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a victory. My team. Shoot that side. That's another Dunkirk. Ugh. Oh, that one's broadside on, so I can kill it. But I'm also broadside on to it, so it can kill me. Turn those turrets. And use the ranging shot. Flattened the magazine. I'm just terrified of the Rodney just sitting on my flank. I can't do anything to it. So hopefully I get the reload off before that one kills me. Oof. My dispersion failed. It failed me when I really needed it not to. Luckily another Strasbourg got him.
The enemy is winning. We must counterattack.
Cruisers coming around the island. Oof. Rodney's getting slammed by torpedoes. That should be the end of it. Mississippi. Not sure if well, I'm not a fan of Naval EC to begin with, so this is Frenchy and the Rodney. Okay. I never even bothered to check who it was. Okay, that's gonna hurt, I think. If there's hit. That's a renown. Yep, that hurt. luckily just scratched my magazine. I not actually hit it. Well, critically hit it. I spoke too soon. Okay, an aircraft engine. Really? Really? Well, we'll take it on the bow, I guess. This is an aircraft torpedo, so it shouldn't be too threatening. Oof. It's always the ones on the bottom of the team that say bad team, don't they? So what was he even in? He only died once. He just leaves. Okay. Like, they're also winning. I shouldn't be asking too many questions. Don't only give you more of a headache. Come on, AI North Dakota, don't spam me. Although the AIs seem to have gotten worse when it comes to avoiding players. It might also be that they're just not used to being battleships. That terrifies me. Knowing it's French. Disgusting. Absolute filth that I'm seeing right in front of me. I saw a torpedo being launched. I don't think I'll be able to dodge it either. Oh, I didn't quite make the angle, did I? Also, do I give the kill to Fus or do I give the kill to the Scharnhorst? Who knows? You know what? Can I... Darn it. But I was dead anyways. Now the Battleship. That guy has sat there this entire match. Why doesn't he just move? How's it showing us down to 29% flooding? Oh well. Hangar guy, I strongly recommend you stop making those jokes or you can go away. That is something I can do. But anyways, I was about to end it anyway. We've been well, I've been live for almost 3 hours and 20 minutes. And what's our progress in Strasbourg? Pretty alright. Alrighty, Fuso, it was a pleasure seeing you tonight as well. Been a great stream. Having some fun conversations about carriers, submarines, and Strasbourg and other ships. And hopefully, this time next week, we'll have the new update to talk about and look into. And if we don't, well, I'll find something to stream about anyways. So, as usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week.